Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien here on the morning of Thursday, January 5th, 2023. Stand by for commentary. Well, today's commentary, Americans, is on the Republican House in a search for a House Speaker and the concessions that Kevin McCarthy has made to become Speaker of the House. That's like selling your mother and selling everybody down the river because he wants to be Speaker of the House. And it can cause a lot of problems. Give you a hint. Unlike what the Republicans are telling you, this has happened once before by Republicans. 100 years ago in 1923, the new Congress was coming in, and President Warren G. Harding was still around, okay? And the Republicans couldn't get themselves in order. They didn't have a big enough majority to overwhelm the, as you would call it here, rebels today. But unlike today's 20 or 19 to 20 guys who are elected that are Trumpers, or what you call right-wingers, yeah. The guys in 1923 were left-wingers, Republicans. Yeah, there was a few of them. Left-wing Republicans, yo! Yeah. And they did awful concessions. And what's funny is that McCarthy's concessions are going to be worse than what they did back in 1923. And the Republicans today, like in CNN, they're touting that, we had balanced budget under Calvin Coolidge. Yeah. But they forget that what happened, and Calvin Coolidge was a disastrous president, okay? Because what happened was, from January to around September of 1923, it was still President Warren G. Harding. Then he went on his little visit over to San Francisco, California. Yeah. And, well, he died at the hotel. And how he died, it's still a matter of conjecture today. What they put on there is heart attack, but there's no federal, state, local, or any investigation done on how he passed away, okay? Because it was controlled by his wife and his doctor. And mind you, they both died under mysterious circumstances a year later in 1924. And the joke on Mr. Harding was that he died hanky-panky in a hotel room's bed. Nobody can prove that, but, that's a joke anyway, Americans, back in that. And he left a whole sort of mess. Mind you, he was a Republican president. Today we got a Democratic president. But he left the Teapot Dome, but he left the extremist leftist Republicans dictating the House of Representatives. And all those crazy bills they passed between 1923, especially after his death in September, I believe it was, of 23. Well, Calvin Coolidge became president. He won re-election on his own right because the people, you guys were dumb even in those days, and you voted for him in 24. So from 1923 to 29, Calvin Coolidge had the reins, and also the left Republicans in the House, oh boy, they increased their majority too, by the way. And they passed these horrendous bills. And they said, "Oh yeah, but we balanced the budget. We did all that." And this is what Republicans today are telling you. What they didn't tell you is that they was hanky panky with those bills, and then came back to roost in October 1929. All those bills they passed between 1923 and 1929 or 28 came back to roost. And yeah, Mr. Hoover, he knew about those bills because he was Secretary of the Commerce or State or something like that under Coolidge and Harding, and Coolidge. And to give you how Mr. Coolidge was, and here is a joke, okay? And it must have been true because it was told by Mr. George Halas, who at the time was, I believe, owner of the Chicago Bears in 1923 or 24, I believe it was, when he went to see Calvin Coolidge. And Mr. Coolidge, he was announced as, "Oh, hello, President, Mr. President, this is Mr. George Halas, and he represents the Chicago Bears." And Mr. Coolidge's response to that was, quote, "Oh, I like animal acts, but I'm not familiar with this one, so you must excuse me." Yeah. You know, did they tell him that this was a National Football League? I don't know. But for a president to make a remark like this is kind of like Jimmy Carter going haywire in the 70s. Yeah. But this is the type of president you had to deal with from 1923 to 29 after Mr. Warren G. Harding's oops and bye, happened. And this is 100 years ago. Same thing happened. Except that you had leftist Republicans in charge, and they made a mess of the things. Anyway, you had to pay, everything was done short. So all their bills that were did, say you had $100, you can get it for 10, and we'll pay back later. And, it was a short that was the rule in those days. And by the time the crash of the stock market in October 29, a lot of people were short because that was the way you bought things in the market. You short bought. And boy, you didn't have the money, so hey, everything went down the haywire. You get me, Americans? Yo-ho! This is what happened between 1923 and 1928 with those leftist Republicans doing all these bills. And the Republicans of today, they'll tell you, "Oh yeah, but we balanced the budget." But they did it on the short, which put the country in serious danger when they came back to haunt them in 1929. Yo-ho! Remember Crash 1929? Ooh, yeah. It took you a world war to get out of that mess. So now you got McCarthy making the same stupid concessions that the guy that wanted the speakership in 1923 did. Sure, he was speaker for the next 8 years, but hey, yeah. And who got left holding the bag? You Americans and Herbert Hoover with Hooverville. Yeah. This is your favorite alien. Good day.